Suicide is the second leading cause globally in death of young children between age of 15 and 24. And now it's also triggered by online games and social media. Internet has opened Pandora's box, and out comes the epidemic of such life-endangering games and challenges. There have been 130 suicidal deaths, 130 reported so far worldwide as outcomes of such games that are free-floating on internet today. The Momo Challenge, Blue Whale Game, the Slenderman Choking Challenge, Fire Challenge, Ice and Salt Challenge, these are some of the popular names which have already claimed numerous lives across the globe. Let me describe a few to you. The Choking or Passing Out Challenge. It encourages children and even adults to choke themselves to a level where they're almost or they actually pass out just to achieve a moment of euphoric high. While it's absolutely necessary to record yourselves and put it on social media just for a few likes and some more number of followers. The Fire Challenge has seen young children spraying themselves with flammable liquids and gases and setting it aflame just for laughs, recording themselves and sharing again. The Ice and Salt Challenge. It asks the players to rub ice and salt on their skin so they get frostbites. The whole focus is how much pain can you tolerate, while it's absolutely necessary again to put it up on social media as demonstration of your participation. The Blue Whale Game. 50 days, 50 tasks, one getting worse than the previous one, till you have reached the last task, which is taking up your own lives by jumping off a high rise. The Momo Challenge, amongst the latest ones. Momo asks you to contact a random user and follow a certain task assigned. In case of disobedience, Momo sends you horrifying and horrendous images while also threatens to leak out your personal sensitive information and also threatens to kill at times. Such is the nature of games and challenges that are available online and accessible to anyone and everyone irrespective of age. There has always been a segment of audience that has celebrated and actually cherished the game or the power, strength, and violent games. History had gladiator shows. Today we have the Blue Whale, Momo, and many more such. Psychopaths, sociopaths, narcissists, pedophiles, sadists have always been part of our society, but internet has just made it easier for them to identify, target, lure vulnerable young children and make them their victims. What is it about these games and challenges that is making it so attractive and addictive? I'll share over here three major factors. The first being design. These online games or these virtual games are addictive by design, be it conquering or levels after levels, or in just some random reward mechanism which kind of motivates the user to go to the next level due to positive reinforcement. But across the screen, it's absolutely simple to just move forward. Maximum games today are multiplayer games. It's very easy for children, and in fact, it's become the norm that they bond over these kind of virtual games today. As long as they're playing with their own peers, it's still understood. But yes, these virtual games and challenges are also offering them an opportunity to randomly interact with any random stranger using a screen. And when the conversation is with a screen in between, the online disinhibition effect, as explained by Dr. Mary Anniken in her book, Cyber Effect, makes it very easy for children to get into self-disclosure mode. While a lot of studies have also shown that self-disclosure itself gives a kind of release in your body, a brain chemical, dopamine, which is in charge of pleasure. And it urges you to do more and more and more so. And that's the modus operandi of many such challenges where they lure you to shell out your personal information and stay glued to it because then they use it against you. So while these are the factors which are at the design end of these kind of games and challenges, there are a lot of other factors which actually lure and push, or rather pull children towards engaging into such risky behaviors. Some of them being the peer acceptance, challenges, dares within friends, also the strive for followers and likes, or it could be as cruel as being cyberbullied or being cyber harassed. Cyberspace today is a playground for a bully to hide from an adult authority and timelessly and recklessly bully someone into engaging into such kind of risky behaviors. Even in past, we've had a certain set of audience which has engaged into self-harm, but it has been in secrecy and privacy. Today on internet, they find like-minded people, they find support groups which actually not only encourage them in self-harm, but also give tips how to make it better and more painful. There are also other factors such as glamorization of suicide, glorification of suicide by a lot of television and media series, which have attracted a lot of children to experiment and explore. The live streaming feature gives instant popularity and has also seen rise in a lot of copycat suicides. Radicalization is another such trigger that lures children into such risky behaviors. In fact, Slenderman case was a perfect and a classic example of self-radicalization, where two young girls were almost ready with a plan to kill someone just to prove their loyalties to a fictitious character, Slenderman. We do understand that certain factors are beyond our reach to control, but it's imperative for us to know what are the effects of engaging into such kind of risky behaviors or engaging into such absolutely volatile games. So while suicide is the most fatal and the painful effect, there is plenty harm done to a child who reaches to that particular stage in form of depression, isolation, low self-worth, and he has to live with this for the rest of his life. Constant exposure to these kind of violent games actually desensitizes certain children towards these kind of violent imagery. And the time that they spend into these violent games also diminishes the line between real and virtual. It does not take too long for the aggression in the virtual world coming to the real world. Most of these violent games, they kind of mimic the sensory assault that human brain is programmed to assess as danger. And the moment our brain senses danger, our primitive survival instincts kick in, and it immediately takes our state of arousal from normal to hyper. And a hyper-aroused child or a mentally depleted child is always going to have difficulties in terms of concentration, in terms of coping up with stress, mood swings, ability to socialize or engage into any kind of productive or creative exercises. While we also need to factor in that, yes, at this particular stage and age of life, while this Generation Z is absolutely digitally savvy, they are still not equipped and they're not at that age where their analytical and logical thinking skills have been matured enough for them to understand and draw a line. Most of their decisions are peer influenced or by impulses. And yes, that's what makes it much more important for us to be an involved parent or an involved caretaker and look out for these kind of signs. A child who's tried to attempt suicide, whether successful or unsuccessful, has to live with that kind of trauma for the rest of his life, he and his family both. Suicide, however, could be triggered by social media, by television, by any other media, is yet a result of profound, painful emotional struggle. It is important for us to understand those kind of behaviors and intervene at the right time. Some of those behaviors could be constantly talking about pain, feeling like burden on others, feeling trapped, feeling hopeless, or extreme changes in sleep and food habits, behaving recklessly, all the time agitated, and giving away their priceless or their very, very personal possessions. These are very common signs, and most of the kids do give these kind of signs. It's only a matter of being a little more involved in their lives to understand when do and when can we intervene. Social media can harm or can help. It's about how we use it. It is important for us to teach these young children etiquettes to have a very, very meaningful and a positive internet experience. Abnormal behavior on internet can hamper their academic progress and also their future work prospects. Digital footprints are very difficult to erase. Besides depriving them of access to internet or access to technology is actually not a solution. In fact, it could also pop up another set of problems of peer acceptance and peer involvement. The key lies in awareness. Awareness is the most crucial form of prevention today against these kind of heinous, risky behaviors and crimes that are happening around. It's very important for us to make the child aware, of course, filter the content age appropriate, but let them know what's happening around them. An aware child will be more cautious and will also be able to perceive the online dangers much better than a non-aware child. It's very important to have a monitored and a controlled time on internet, and it's absolutely non-compromisable term. Lastly, I'd like to say that internet in itself or technology in itself is not harmful. It's how we use it. And today's teen, any which ways, have their own set of struggles thanks to the media exposure, and the kind of challenges that they face are extremely different than what while we were growing up. So it becomes all the more our responsibility to make sure they have a healthy childhood and loving families. Let's all pledge together to invest more in time rather than gadgets. Thank you.